Here we go. So welcome everyone. Hello, it's good to see you all. We thought we might only have a couple, but it's always a bit of a rush at the last minute. So good to see you. I know it gets a bit busy in cyberspace, doesn't it? We get a bit of a traffic jam, so sometimes it's a bit hard getting on, but good to be here for another month and good to see your faces. So here we are, February.
I know.
It's here. So I think, why don't we just celebrate a new month, and anyone who'd like to, I know we've got Yosu on a bit of a mission at the moment, and Justine's publishing 75,000 books, and Kat's almost finished her first one and getting very, very close to the end. We've got all sorts of cool stuff going on. So who wants to start us off? And it's interesting how we did a forum on Saturday, and it just seems to, Kat, you were there, weren't you? And Justine was there. It just ends up having a theme, you know, and there's a real theme on Saturday, and I've got a feeling we're going to end up with a theme again. So I'm just going to let you guys talk, and we'll see what theme evolves. So anyone want to kick us off where they're at? Good news, exciting stuff, thoughts? Crickets.
That was Saturday too. There were crickets.
I know. Oh, it's being the first one is always, it's will I. Sue, we're going to throw it straight over to the UK because you're first thing in the morning. You're bright and bushy tailed. So tell us how you're going.
Monday morning. No, I think getting through a bit of a block, I think, is a theme for me. Just kind of getting through a period of feeling quite uninspired, I guess, or lack of connection. And I feel like I am actually through that. I kind of a bit of a talking to myself. And I think, you know, I'm always very, I tend to watch myself at the same time as thinking. So I kind of do a lot of kind of, you know, what's she going on about this time and observing. And I don't know what this all is been about, but I'm sure there'll be a reason in the future. But it's one of those moments that's been kind of, I've been in it and been quite frustrated with myself, but, you know, just had to kind of, with the help of Andrew, just kind of carry on navigating it. But I think, I have no idea whether this changes when you do more books, because I've no idea, because I've not been in this situation before. But when you're writing a book for the first time, there's so many kind of mindset obstacles to get through. And I think for some reason this particular chapter, well, I don't know, I've got a sneaky feeling I know what it is, but it's just really stalled and created this kind of the cliched writer's block, or whatever you want to call it. But it's just been, I just sat down thinking, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, you know, just looking at it, trying to make sense of it. It's a bit scrambled, trying to let go of, you know, perfection, all that kind of stuff, but also wanted to kind of understand what it's trying to do. Yeah, I think what I'm at now is very close to just letting it be and moving on to the next chapter. And I've got, you know, I've had some ahas and a few kind of how I want this to look, how I want it to feel like moments. So I think I have, you know, I'm on the other side of that block. So
yay,
that's where
that's awesome.
Yeah. But it's been really frustrating. So it's things like one word, or what am I going to do today? I'll read something about this kind of stuff, or anything, just to feel like I can kind of tick that box. But to be really honest, it's been you know, you kind of feel all full of kind of motivation and inspiration, and, you know, all kind of yeah, and then suddenly there's just nothing. You know, there's nothing. You're thinking, oh my God, you know, I've got to get this back, and I've got to pick it up one grain at a time, and just picking it up again. So I don't know. I'm assuming this doesn't happen.
Can anyone relate to it? Anyone relate to what Sue's saying?
Yeah.
Everyone.
And it happens on different books as well. So
yeah, exactly, Karen. I was wondering, whether it's, good to kind of get it's like when my only kind of like the marathon thing, and I know Kat doesn't like running, but there's marathons in different ways, Kat, honestly. But the way I relate to the marathon is I really didn't want to run sometimes. I really didn't want to run. But I knew each run really matters. It just somehow mattered, however crap it was, really. You just go out, you just have a horrible, horrible run. Sometimes you just in pieces and stuff like that. And then you do another one and you just have to go through it all again. It just actually makes no damn difference that you've done one before. It just makes no difference. So I kind of know that I kind of know it, but it's good, I think, to kind of pace myself in a way that Karen, that you hear that you have it again and then again and again. This is part of the process. So just trying to get my head around it. It's like, get your head around what it is that you're taking on in a good way. And I think it is about the identity and being able to kind of just get your head around becoming that identity. And I am actually to Xanadu now, which is a good thing. It's only just started this year, so just kind of, yeah. I'd love to know what people do and whether there's any kind of other things.
What, help get through? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think just what people have done that are their solutions, I guess. I'm always curious about learning from I suppose experts, people that have actually, not even experts in writing, but experts in themselves, what their particular strategies have been that I can maybe try myself. And might not be for me, it might be for someone else, but I'm just curious, I guess, as to what what other people have done or do, or their mindset, or what they say to themselves, or whatever it is, so that
let's open it up.
I've got an idea. If you're stuck on a particular chapter, then just put that chapter down for a while and work on a different chapter and come back to it at a later time. And I do that all the time. I've also found doing the 63 days has been really good, because I don't feel like I need to sit and write for 3 hours a day. I can just do what I want to do, and that's it. And I can get up and do other things.
Yeah,
it seems to help.
Yeah. No, I do find that. I have found that useful, at least just getting back into that kind of 100 odd words or whatever, or maybe more, maybe less, but to get back into it. And I think it's interesting you're saying that you just leave it to one side, because I've been tempted, partly thinking, no, I've got to get some kind of draft down, and then thinking, do I really want to come back to this? It's like leaving one room untidied, God, eventually back into that room, face the music,
It might be that working on a different chapter might prompt you to think about the chapter that you've just set aside.
Yeah.
Or you go back to it with renewed enthusiasm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just have a suggestion. Hi, it's Jo here.
Hi, Jo.
Hi there. Sorry, I was a bit late. I've worked more than 12 hours today. I actually left my paid work to come to the forum.
Good. Best decision you've made.
Probably the best decision today. And look, just a thought, and I've come across this with people in different contexts. I do a lot of work, or used to do even more, with personality. And it's been quite interesting. People who are more extroverted, and I don't know you at all, Sue, to make a comment on your preference in that area, but they often actually have to talk to someone else to think. So extroverts are more likely to think out loud, so to speak. And when you're trying to do it all on your own and do it inside your head, it's often a process that may not suit you. And so I used to share a floor in an office building with a friend who was an extrovert and had to do a lot of creative work. And whenever they got stuck, I used to just say, come over the road and have coffee with me and tell me about your latest project. And they'd start talking, and they'd sometimes have to leave in the middle of the coffee because they'd suddenly go, oh, I've got ideas come. So that talking out loud to someone else, I guess, or even talking out loud to yourself, might be something that can get you past blockage.
Or
Just a thought.
Yep.
yeah, or have the talking feature on, like, I know I've got it on the Word document, and have the computer read back what you've actually written, or sometimes make it easier as well. And I do mind maps. So if I'm struggling with something, I just put it in a circle, and then whatever I can, put out there. And often that gives me a different direction than what I thought that it was going to be. Don't be hard on yourself. The harder that you are on yourself, the less you'll write. And don't be so critical on what you're actually writing, because this is your shitty first draft. So just get it all out there. I think you're probably overthinking it.
Oh yeah, it's my default. Is to
Switch your brain off, too.
I have trained my brain to overthink. No, I get all of this. I think it's interesting, using the mind map, because that is my preferred kind of way of thinking. I'm a bit like that, kind of, lots of thoughts, connected by lots of other thoughts.
Yeah.
Good to be reminded of that particular tool. And I wouldn't call myself an extrovert. I'm one of these omnivores. I can kind of do both, but I do like thinking out loud. Actually, interesting, Joe. I do. So usually my husband's got to listen to it, but
Yeah, the old sounding board, and I love mind maps too. I usually start with a mind map. So yeah, I think it can be useful to, if you've got one at the beginning, you could revisit it and see if you can add to it, and just brainstorm with yourself without judging what's coming up when you brainstorm. Because a lot of people, they limit themselves as they're doing the brainstorming rather than just letting it flow. Sometimes when you get started, it'll keep going.
Yeah, good tip. I think it's kind of like a pattern interrupt, isn't it? The old kind of getting out of that pattern. And I want to get back into some of the flow I was. I think it's good to interrupt it with something different. So I think it's good tips. Yeah.
Yep.
All makes complete sense.
Awesome. Okay. Is there anyone else before we sort of move on? Anyone else got any thoughts for Sue? And I think you've had some great advice, but I just think stop overthinking it. This is not about perfection. It's about, said it before, it's not about perfection, it's about direction. Just write crap. Who cares? No one cares. Just write and come back. Second draft is about fixing it. First draft is not about overthinking. So simplify, keep it simple. Just write it. Just let it flow. It's in you. Yeah.
Are you trying to edit it in your head as you're going?
It's a mixture, to be honest, Justine. I think I kind of partly, I'm one of these people, if it can make sense, and I'm not too bothered about it being, certainly not I'm not good at copy, so I leave that to someone else. My English is pretty poor, really. But no, I think it's more about, does this kind of make sense? Is the kind of way I want it to kind of, the flow, if you want. So yeah, there's probably first timer kind of type experience. So there's kind of, it's a bit messy. So there's bits that go, and then it's like kind of gets a little bit messy. So I need to kind of just take them out completely, probably, and just put them to one side.
Not at the moment. You don't. You just put it all out. Don't even go back through it until you've done your whole shitty first draft.
There you go. Can't get any better advice than that. All right. Anyone else got to share their thoughts, where they're at, what they're up to, what they're doing, what breakthroughs? What are some breakthroughs? Let's hear some breakthroughs.
I shared all mine on Saturday, so.
Oh, not everyone was here on Saturday. Give us a quick update, Justine. I'm sure something's happened. It's 2 days.
So the book that I co-authored was released a week before Christmas and became an Amazon #1 bestseller that week. So that was good. What else? My kids' book will be published in March. I've got another co-authored book coming out in March and another one in May, and the one in May I've been asked to do the cover design for that as well, so I'm pretty stoked on that one. And I drew up the shitty first drawing today for that and submitted it off for everyone else to approve before I start painting. And I had a big breakthrough because I stagnated as well, and what I was writing wasn't heading in the direction that I wanted it to go, and I was procrastinating. And I had a meeting with my business coach last week before, and I came up with a title to the book, and that changed everything. That really changed everything, changed the direction, what I'm doing. I did I call them mud maps, did a new mind map, and am really excited and fired up on where this one's going. And from that, I've also got things that I'm going to market alongside the book as well that will go in conjunction with the book. And I'm going to publish it through my publishing house. So
there you go.
That's all happening this year. I'm starting my own publishing house in March. It's all logos are being done and everything's being done. So I, as you guys know, I wrote the children's book and submitted it off to 31 publishers. And out of the 31, I had 5 yeses. So I had 5 contracts given to me. And out of those 5 contracts, I turned them all down. So you probably think I'm nuts because I turned them down. And they didn't fit the direction or what I wanted to do with the book. And what they were offering, I know that I can do myself. So that was the thing. And not everyone can do what a publishing house does. So that was the decision that I made.
Or want to do.
Yeah, or want to do it as well, Andrew. But yeah, that's right. So yeah, so there are some exciting things that have happened since the end of last year.
That's awesome. Well done.
Thanks.
Great. Who else? Come on, team. Let's. What about? Where are you, Rosanna? Anything you want to share? If you don't, please don't feel obliged.
Thanks, Andrew.
If you don't want to.
First of all, Justine, what's the name of your publishing house?
I'm tossing up. So here's a bit of. I'd like some feedback on this. It's either JMC Publishing, so Justine Martin Corporation Publishing, so shortened to JMC Publishing, or I'm tossing between that or Morpheus Publishing.
Okay, Morpheus.
So Morpheus is the Greek god of dreams.
Okay.
Morpheus was also a major character in Matrix.
Yeah, everyone says that.
Yeah.
But I
That's
used
the first thing that springs to my mind.
I used to sell plastic. I used to sell Tupperware and was number 4 in Australia in personal sales and ran a big team of 60. And my Tupperware team was called Morpheus. So
Well, I see you've done well with that name before.
I have. And, you know, I'm all about, you know, following your dreams. You know, goals are just dreams that have been put into action. So, and I'm all, as Andrew knows, I'm all about goal setting and setting goals and moving forward. So yeah, I'm looking at swaying more now towards Morpheus after I've spoken to the graphic artists. So this week I'll make a decision on whether it's JMC Publishing or Morpheus Publishing.
Awesome.
Morpheus Publishers, I don't know, publisher. We'll work on that.
That's great.
I have a meeting with Andrew this week too, so I'll be talking to him.
We'll chat. Now, Rosanna, was that just a clever
No, a
distraction?
little deferral.
Just-
Probably nothing to report from me, but because I'm just going through kind of some stuff. But anyway, there's something that I heard. I was listening to a podcast when I was driving over to Kangaroo Island on Saturday, and it was mood follows action. And often when we talk about being motivated to do something, I'll wait, that, and I think that's part of the 63-day thing. Just do something, and obviously, it will generally affect your mood, and you'll probably want to keep doing it or trying it. So that was a really simple phrase that I really liked.
Yeah,
That mood follows action.
it does, for sure.
Mhm.
For sure. We always
That's
feel
all
better
from
after
me.
we've done something, don't we? Rarely do we feel like doing it. We always feel better when it's done.
It's like, when you go and exercise, you don't feel like initially. Once you've done it, you just feel great. So, yeah,
So true.
The hardest walk is out through the front door. The rest is easy.
exactly.
Yep, for sure.
Mm.
That's good. Thanks, Rosanna.
That's right, Ed.
That's wonderful. So we've got a few people on the 63-day path. I know, Karen, what are you up to? You're up to day 50 something.
Yeah, 50 something. I've
Yeah.
found it to be very useful to do that.
Yep. Well, I think I'm on day 54. I think
think
we're on the same. And Sue, you're somewhere similar as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
So it is a good look. It's a really simple way just to commit and have some accountability, and you do it, and I know I do it. Like this morning, I didn't feel like writing, but I thought, well, I've got to post something on the Facebook page. I can't miss a day. Because Sue missed a day. Didn't you see the first time you tried it?
Horrible.
And she took herself back to the starting line, which, by the way, takes a lot of character to do that. I think a lot of people would go, oh yeah, that's okay, I just missed a day, and they keep going. But no, she said, well, I missed a day, I've broken the chain, got to go back to the start.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty clever thing to do. Yeah. Just don't do it again.
And I'm absolutely not going to do it again.
Exactly. Well, that's the reason. That's a good thing about doing it in the first place. And going back to the start, I'm not doing that again. So that's for everyone here. That's a good thing to do if you're finding it difficult to get any sort of rhythm or momentum. Just commit to 63 days, and but it's not 63 days. It's one day. It's today. That's it. It's only ever today. And that's the thing, Rosina, you're saying, action. Well, I think one of the reasons why we feel like taking action is so hard, because we think about, if you're going to go for a run, for example, if it's a 5K run or a 10K run or a marathon, even 5K is like, but we can all do one step. Yeah. And then we can do another step. And I think the key to any goal is set it and forget it, and focus on, what do I do today? That's it. That's all you need to focus on, the one simple basic step. And it might be write 5 words, and then you celebrate. And the key is celebrate. Not, I should have done more, or not, that was terrible, or not, I feel blocked or stuck. Celebrate. Whatever, as Justine says, whatever shitty words you write, celebrate them, because you've done it. And any action is better than no action. Yeah. Just focus on the day. Don't think about anything else. I think we put so much pressure on the outcome that we never get there. Forget the outcome, focus on the day, and the outcome will take care of itself.
I think we worry that it has to be perfect. And then we start questioning ourselves that we're not good enough. We're not good enough as a writer, or the story's going to be shit, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden you put the pen down, or you stop typing.
Well, I mean, here's the deal. What's the worst case scenario if you write something really bad? What if you write something that's crappy? What's the worst case?
No one's going to read it.
Well, I mean, you're probably not going to put it out there if it's crap. What are you going to do?
Rewrite it.
Rewrite it, get help, get support, get some feedback, improve it, fine tune it. And the question I ask people is, how long are you willing to keep going until it's
Perfect.
good enough? I mean, how many drafts are you willing to do? Is it 2, 3, 5, 10, or whatever it takes? I cannot even tell you how many times I have read and reread Tears of Joy, and I'm still not happy with it. You'll never be happy with it.
I think it's, it's kind of this identity as an author, but not identifying too much with what you're writing, because I think that's where you can kind of trip yourself up, aren't you? I am at the moment. So you kind of identify somehow the fact that the words aren't, like you're saying, Justine, you kind of words aren't quite right somehow mean something about me, which is actually not the case. And I know logically, you know, I'm trained enough in all this stuff that I know, but you can get so easily sucked into that rabbit hole of,
Yeah, you can.
rather than actually identifying with being just the author that does exactly what you've done and said, Andrew, get help, ask for opinions, do it again. And I think that's kind of how I kind of was developing that kind of.
Yeah. And identity, in terms of identity, I think it's a mistake to identify yourself as a professional or as a, you know, as an author. I think that's a mistake. I don't identify myself as a writer. Because when you identify yourself as something that is often outside your control or maybe finite or external, it's something that potentially you can lose, you know, then there's fear. But when you identify yourself as I'm making a difference, you know, I'm a difference maker, I'm persistent, because this is stuff you can never lose, you know, your character. If you identify yourself based around your character and your values rather than around something external, then things can grow from that. You know, I think, you know, I've learned that myself. I used to, identify myself as a personal trainer. Well, what happens when I'm old and my muscles are gone and I can't run because my knees are crappy? And what do I identify myself then? You know, all of a sudden I'm lost. But I can always have an impact. Doesn't matter how old I am, I can always be persistent. I can always encourage. I can always be kind. These are things that I can always do. And so when you focus on those things, then you find opportunities to be that. Yeah, to be, and I think why, you know, I look at all the things I do now. I have a podcast. I'm not a podcaster. I have books. I'm not an author. I have, you know, I share my message. I'm not a speaker. Do you know what I'm saying? And my identity for me is someone who impacts lives in a positive way. And these are just vehicles I use to do that. Does that make sense? And I mean, this is quite a deep or a complex area, but identity is a key part of achievement. Of just the blog, the podcast that I'm about to release this week is with a guy, and he's all about identity-based performance. You know, not performance-based identity. This is a guy who played, Terry, you'll know, I've forgotten his name. Played for Brisbane. He played in the 3 premierships for Brisbane Lions. Oh my gosh, I've got him having mentioned Sean Hart. Played almost 300 games. Won a good Norm Smith medal. And he talked about this. You know, when your focus is on performance and you perform badly, right? So when you're focusing on, I'm a writer and I've got to be right, and when you're not, your performance is not great, all of a sudden you crumble. So what happens to your self-esteem, to your belief in yourself, when your identity is based on your performance? But when your performance is based on your identity, you can't lose that ever. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes any sense. I mean, it's taken me a long time to try and understand this concept.
Yeah.
To be you and let your writing reflect who you are. And so you're an inspiring person who cares about people. Rosina, you are one of the most caring, amazing people I know. You know, that's who you are. You've got a heart for people. You know, I see that. I don't see an author. I don't see authors here. I see people with incredible character. You know, and that's what you've got to focus on, and just let your writing reflect that. Because you can't lose that. That's who you are.
There's an exercise that we do in product development called fail whaling. So fail whale. So you take some dedicated time to think of all the ways that you could fail. So if we're about to create a new feature in the product, we actually literally say, how could this fail? Like what could go wrong? And we list them all out. And then we identify mitigation strategies for each of those. So it's not a doom and gloom thing. Like we're not trying to, oh, everything will all die. It's just like, okay, if we create this new feature and no one uses it, that's actually a fail. So how might we mitigate that? Well, we've got a plan with marketing, but we also pre-identify specific metrics that we're going to track to see who's using it and how. So if you think about like what's worrying you from a fail whale perspective, so like one of the things that worries me in my project from a fail whale perspective is that I might get some of the physics wrong. So my mitigation strategy for that is I'm going to have a physics teacher. I'm going to engage them to do a physics review of the book, which is separate from an edit review. And so just figuring out those fail whales and then realizing if they're something you can mitigate or something that isn't real. Sometimes the fail whales aren't real. That's a very helpful strategy, I find, that can get it out of your head, can get it on paper, but then it also can give you definitive actions to take. And then once you know like how to get I'm not worried about the physics in my book anymore because I'm doing my research and I'm also going to have someone whose bread and butter is physics look at it. So, I just don't have to worry about that right now.
Yeah.
And then when she comes back and is like, you've completely got this wrong. Cool. I'll rewrite it then. So, yeah, exactly. So I think fail whale, we don't in like my company, we don't kick off a single product development. We always do a fail whale before we take a pitch through to the next stage, because we want to know how it might go wrong, and we want to be able to explain what we might do. So I recommend.
Yeah,
Great.
That's awesome. Thanks, Kat. That's a great idea. And I mean, when you think about that, you're writing and you're critical of your writing and it's not very good, but there's the edit. That's what editors are for, right? I've always said, how does a footballer become an author? Get a really good editor.
I think what you said then, Andrew, that identity-based performance, not performance-based identity, is really powerful. There's a lot in that. I think we can wrap up now because that's just... You've got what you need.
Well, I just think
that's it. That was gold.
Well, I think we could. I mean, I think but we live in society that values performance and
people always say, what do you do? What do you do? Which translates to who are you?
Yeah.
I'm a teacher, I'm an author, I'm a whatever. And it's that not, what do you like as a person? What do you, as opposed to, I care about the environment or whatever that is. So that's really powerful. And I think the more that we embrace that and start using that in our language and the way we speak to other people and the questions we ask other people, maybe those things will change. But that's very powerful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm just going to share a little happy little view for, can you see the...
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
You're back on Kangaroo Island, Rosina.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. What a beautiful place to be, hey? Wonderful. All right. Where are we going? Just checking time. We've got some time. Who haven't we heard from? Anyone else want to give us a bit of an update or a thought? Or, I mean, this is just open for any ideas and thoughts, inspiration, breakthroughs, questions. Okay. Well, that being the case, I mean, we might even finish up a little bit early. Yeah, what do you think? I know this in Australia, in the eastern part of Australia, it's getting a little bit late. I'm conscious of that, but so we're doing this for you because I was far too early in the morning over there for you at 6:30. That was 7:30 a.m. So I'm happy to keep this a little bit shorter, and I think as Rosanna said, I think we've probably got out of tonight what we've got some good things out of tonight, didn't we? I think we got some really good things about not being perfect, about just mood, just action, about not and not stressing about the outcome, but focusing more on the process and just focusing on you and who are you. I think I think a little exercise would be a good thing, just to sit down and just write a list of who you are, and it's got nothing to do with what you do. All right, and that's challenging to do, really challenging. Just dig a bit deep. Think about the impact you have. You know, the person that you are, the character traits that you're proud of, the things you'd like to do more of, be more of. And then what you'll find is that when that starts to become your focus, you'll start to do more of the things you need to do to get the results you want. Okay, well, I'm going to.
Can I just say something?
Yes, you can in the dark, Justine. In the
I
dark.
haven't got up and turned the light on. In the next couple of weeks, I'm putting together Zoom vision board workshops.
Yep.
So if anyone is struggling with their goal setting and what they want in the future, drop me a line and I can send you the links.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Kat, looks like Kat's just popped something in the chat. There's a website there. Would you want to?
Yeah.
Justine,
yeah, just that one is the 16 personalities. It's based off which has flaws, but it's based off the Myers-Briggs personality thing. I do find sometimes going through that kind of stuff can be like very, oh yeah, that's right, that's how I think, sort of thing. It just can sometimes, like, reading about yourself, even if it's not a perfect match, can be like, that's right, that's my brain. So if you're trying to do some identification of how you think, sometimes having crappy websites, so you have 16 personalities is not a crappy website, that was mean, but you know what I mean. Sometimes reading a Cosmo quiz, it'll be like, oh gosh, Cosmo, you get me. I've never taken a Cosmo quiz, but I'm assuming that's what happens.
And there's just
one of my publication goals is actually a tool I wrote to, and I've got some copyright question marks to get past, but I actually wrote a tool to verify the results of the Myers-Briggs type indicator.
That's cool.
So I might even pass it by people, and if you're interested, I can actually, I don't want to take up a session time, but I can do it online, so you can actually sort out your own type preferences. And I know mine works. 16 Personalities, I think, is quite a good website. They're not all good, but that one I think is quite a good one. So
yeah,
it's a useful thing to know, I think.
I agree. I get their their newsletter, and I got their most recent one was about, I can't even remember what the heading. Oh, I think perfectionism, actually. And reading it, I was just like, oh, personal attack. Oh, sometimes it's just very revealing, and you're just reading those lines. And I like highlighted a bit of it and sent it to one of my really good friends, and she was just laughing. She was like, nah. So I don't know. Sometimes it's just nice to be reminded that, like, like one of the lines it had in there is that for personality type I am, it doesn't even occur to me to not try for perfectionism, but like that's not everyone's default. And so that puts me into a position where I'm frequently frustrated because other people's base level is so much lower than what I was like, what are you doing? And it's like, oh, that's right. That explains a lot of the last 2 weeks, sort of thing. So it can be very revealing, and I find that very helpful. So if you're doing some soul searching, sometimes that's a good place, a comfortable place to start.
Yeah, awesome.
And Joe, I'd be very interested in your tool at some point, but we can take that offline.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, have a beautiful day. Everyone else have a wonderful evening. And I'll see some of you within the next month, within the next week, and I'll see others of you next month.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Keep well.
Thanks, everyone.